Well, hey there. Okay. I'm so excited to launch in today. I've got literally so many things happen this week that made me say, a damn, that we're just going to launch right into it. And yes, if you've noted, I'm wearing pink currently because last week I wore green and it's giving wicked. And if you need a reference to what I'm talking about further than that, then you can go Google or go watch the movie. Okay? And I should have worn the pink and the green on the weeks that I actually said this is not Glenda and not Elphaba. And I'm just realizing that now in hindsight. But they weren't them. So, and this is not the baby New Year. It's not even New Year's yet. We still have to get through Christmas. But here's the thing. So I'm just going to tell you up front. I have to take January off. So I'm going to do the countdown towards Christmas, and then we're going to take the break in January. I'm going to sort of like refocus, regroup, TMI on marketing strategies and try to be a guest on other podcasts for that month. So expect a rehash on social media of things that I've talked about here previous, and then we'll be back in February right at the start, that first Wednesday. We'll break bread together and we'll whine about so many things. But let's launch into things that made me say, a damn, this week. Okay, already I'm upset because I can't get the phone to cooperate with me. I'm hating the new Apple update. Whoever did the interface for this, fire them. I can't stand it. So last week we did a teaser about the John Benet Ramsey story, which it's not a teaser because that existed since 1997. I was corrected. No, 96. I said 97 on the podcast, but it happened in the Christmas time of 96. Thank you, Natalie, a great listener that we have on the podcast, or listens to the podcast, I should say, that corrected me. If I ever say anything incorrect, please do. I live for that. I love it. Not just Natalie, I mean anyone listening. So I took all of these notes. Sounded a little like ASMR there for a second, didn't it? Maybe I'll do an ASMR episode in February. What do you think about that? But I took all these notes. I took 4 pages of notes about the freaking documentary that just came out in terms of John Bonet. I was like, I'm gonna find the killer, you guys. I'm gonna figure this out on my own. Well, there's a reason it's unsolved. It's very difficult to know who did it. And the main reason that it's difficult to know who did it is because there's all this evidence that they didn't even take DNA analysis of. So I'm just like, how the heck do you have something that this is triggering in a way? She was strangled to death allegedly. So that's what the cause of death they think was, or a blunt force trauma. So it's like things happen in conjunction was a theory that they discussed on the case, and one of those things it's a Garrity that was used to strangle her, which is disgusting and terrible, and we don't even need to address that further, other than to say that they didn't take DNA analysis of the actual item that allegedly killed her. They don't have, I couldn't find evidence of them taking evidence from the DNA evidence from the ransom note either, which is one of the main reasons that they were saying that the parents did it. Here's my theory after watching it. I think that without the evidence being actually utilized, and some of it has been tampered with, and it's, over 20 years old, this evidence now, it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Well, almost going on 25 years, I guess. What are you going to do with this? What are you, why did it take so long to do something with this? If you're not going to utilize it, then what kind of like police force are you considering yourselves to be? Come on. Like it's called Boulder, Colorado, and you're hiding everything under a boulder. Get it together. But my theory is that it wasn't the family. I used to think that the child was involved because there was the CBS documentary that came out that, alleged, the son did it and this is how the parents covered it up and all that kind of stuff. And it was big, it was huge, it was on CBS. And of course, the family sued because that is defamation in the worst way if they didn't do it and they're just like suffering under this. And they were paid a very large sum that was undisclosed. But it biased a lot of us that would, casually view this kind of thing like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense that this is who did it and why they did it, and like, anyway, I don't think speculation is a good way to go about interrogation tactics or anything like that. Yes, of course, the public wants answers, but it doesn't mean that you need to run your organization in a way that is like just trying to appease the masses or make it an entertainment sector. This is really interesting as a follow-up. So, John Bonet is kind of the first example, and it came in at a wave when people were more interested in the entertainment value of news rather than necessarily the news itself. And that's something that I grew up in, and I just think it's really interesting. I hadn't thought of it in the context of this, but someone did an article discussing how John Bonet was this magic elixir that was going to help that family recover, and she's brutally murdered in the most horrific way, which is, you know, they blamed it on the mother and all this kind of stuff. But oh, that wasn't what I was supposed to read. I read the wrong article. Okay, take two. I've always been very concerned about this decades-long march we've had towards the lessening of journalistic standards and the rise of opinion journalism, which has divided our country, Berlinger says, adding that he believed that this deep division has arisen because we each tune into different opinions on television, and the truth, it's somewhat ephemeral, which that word might be the word of the day. I don't think I'll be able to use it again because I couldn't even say it the first time. But that ephemeral, it just means like it lasts a very short amount of time. So, John Bonet, it's really interesting how this is sort of the catalyst for journalistic impressions in our country. It's caught the gaze, not the gaze. I mean, like the gaze of individuals in our society for, going on 25 years now. And there's a reason that it's been unsolved. I think it's due to negligence of the cops. And I also think, it's caught the gaze of everyone around us because it's sort of a shitstorm that, of course, we're all going to be very opinionated on in regards to it's like a 6-year-old and she was doing this sort of toddlers and tiaras pageantry stuff before that was ever a thing on TV. It's like this is the first sort of impression for a murder trial in a sort of like in an era where reality TV wasn't yet taking place. Like these murders, the Menendez brothers, the O.J. Simpson trials, which those of course came before this one. But that all is sort of like the predecessor of reality TV. All right, let's talk about something that truly made me say this week. And if you don't know who that was saying, yeah, it's the icon and the legend, Baby Nessa from Wicked. She still steals the movie. And with that in mind, I want to flip the script to a scripted thing. We just talked about how this is sort of like the predecessor of unscripted television and that I couldn't solve the mystery. So what I will talk about is the mystery of why Hot Frosty was not nominated for a Golden Globe. Yes, they listed the Golden Globe nominees this week. Award season is here in full throttle, and I am so excited to see. I don't know who wins from this. I think we're having a really good year of TV more so than film, but there have been a lot of films that I've been interested in seeing, and the my favorite Hot Frosty was not nominated. I'd like to know why. I'd like someone to answer why. I thought that movie was phenomenal. I haven't laughed that hard since Jurassic World. It was just a great film. And I'm going to play, this is the voice memo of the week. This is me laughing after watching Hot Frosty. I couldn't sell the film better than just that little laugh. It's me, well, I just sound like a deflated tire, but that's how I was laughing after I watched it. It was such a good time. It was such a heartwarming film, and it warmed up a little snowman in the meantime. So that's really heartwarming. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get into the Golden Globes in totality, although it will be airing and the people will be winning or declared a winner by the whoever the Golden Globe Academy is, whoever those people are. Those I don't know what they're called. I should have Googled that. I look foolish, but who cares? You know what? It'll give you a chance to correct me. I told you to correct me at the beginning of this. What are they called? The Golden Globers? The Globetrotters? Who runs the Golden Globes? And who said that the globe was golden? Anyway, I don't know. But Selena Gomez is nominated twice. I'm going to break down just a couple of things. Selena Gomez is nominated twice, and one of the categories that she's nominated in is for best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture against Ariana Grande. And that is just really exciting for me because they've been pitted against each other in a sort of like Christina and Britney way our entire lives, or my entire life. I don't know how old you are, but yeah, so they've been pitted against each other, and I don't like to see women again, like fighting against each other. It would be nice to see them together at the award show and getting along. But also, I'm rooting for Ariana. Just saying. So, um, exciting news. Ted Danson is going to receive the Carol Burnett Award. I think that's highly earned. And so we talked about the fact that Hot Frosty wasn't nominated, but I think it's really interesting that John Chu wasn't nominated as a director. And the Golden Globes are kind of a joke and a sham in general. They really love A-list celebrities at this thing, and they tend to lean into that rather than I don't know, prestige or maybe really who even should be nominated, I guess. But I was surprised that John Chu, like they want to cozy up with the celebrities, you know what I mean? But I was surprised that John Chu wasn't nominated. I was excited to see that The Substance, one of my favorite films of the year, was nominated as much as it was. Like Demi Moore was nominated, as well as. Do you hear that exciting noise outside? Somebody's excited for The Substance. As well as the director of The Substance, which I believe this is their first film they've ever done. Big, and so very excited to see her be nominated. The woman's name is cropped out. Wow. Okay, a man must have done this. Chris Cappuccino, you're fired. Yeah, I don't want to keep talking about the Golden Globes. I mean, Gladiator wasn't nominated. I guess a lot of people are upset about that. I'm not surprised. Denzel Washington was nominated. I think that's more than enough to be nominated from this, and Denzel always gives an amazing performance. I haven't seen him in Gladiator 2, but I'm sure he stole the show, and I'm sure that he should be nominated, and I'm hopeful that he wins, because honestly, this was a year for the girls. I'm seldom excited by the men categories. Are you? You are? The men categories make you say, really? Okay. Well, they don't make me do that. All right, moving on. So we've talked about A-list celebrities, and I'd like to cozy up with the fact that Jolie is back in full force, and she made an appearance on The Tonight Show. So that's Jimmy Fallon's show. And yeah, so she came onto the show barefoot. I mean, I haven't seen her in a film in a while, and I'm just wondering, is this the start of her OnlyFans? Why would she come on barefoot, you may ask? Well, she came on because she had a foot injury, and it was either like, okay, I'm gonna hobble around in some sort of like cast situation, or I'm gonna go barefoot. Which I don't know how that's helping her foot readjust and resettle, but I guess that is the better option if you're as elegant and as old Hollywood as Angelina Jolie is. I mean, she's a real star, so I could see why she wouldn't want to be pictured ever in anything less than perfection. So she came out with her perfect bare feet, and I think it's a great ad for OnlyFans. Get that coin, girl. Now, The Valley. Now we're gonna flip the script. We're gonna talk about unscripted again. I want to go highbrow, lowbrow, highbrow on this. I like a juxtaposition. You know what I mean? I know the podcast is a little ADHD, but you can keep up with me. You're ADHD too if you're listening. Spoiler alert, not to diagnose you. Okay, The Valley. Now this was like sort of last week's news, but I want to bring it back. The Valley was this show that was a spinoff of Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules followed this group of, I don't know, people in their 20s, early 20s that were adults, working in Lisa Vanderpump's bar, restaurant, and they all had little like mixes together, little rendezvous, if you will. It was kind of like Reality World, or oh, hold on, no, oh God, what am I trying to say? It was kind of like The Real World. Yes. Life in 3D. No, it was kind of like The Real World on MTV meets a bar. And after several seasons now, they had a terrible season this last year. They've decided that they're not going to bring any of the cast members back, which I personally think is a great decision. They're going to start with a new cast, start fresh. I think these reboots are really, they're testy. It's going to be a different vibe. I think they should rename the show if they're going to do that. I think they should, name it Vanderpump. Maybe not Rules, but Vanderpump Exists. Yeah, and some of those cast members are now going to join The Valley, which is the spinoff show. And I think that that's smart. I think that makes sense because they're not working in that restaurant anymore, and they don't have any ties to Lisa Vanderpump outside of they knew her as someone that they worked with. So, and I mean specifically on the show, because who knows if they even really worked in those restaurants. Let's not blow smoke up their ass. Let's just move on. Okay, this is something I want to address. This made me say, oh, damn, like really clutch my pearls. And I would say on the Richter scale of damnness, this is damned up. So one of the individuals, the front man, that I don't know if he wrote it or okay, hold on. Yeah, no, Village People songwriter threatens to sue anyone that calls YMCA a gay anthem. Well, what are you calling it then? I mean, Village People? Really? One of the gayest bands that's ever existed. They've been using it on the Republican stages for the entirety of not only this year but a lot of years previous, and I've always questioned why is that allowed, and it's clearly because the songwriter is giving them permission, whereas most artists are like, do not play my music, Trump, don't. The Village People, I guess the songwriter is letting them, with the YMCA not being a gay anthem. You know what, honey, anytime that you want to allow things to come out of the closet, let it do it in its own time. And I'll just Menendez that there. Sean Mendez, I'm saying, not Menendez brothers. All right, now we're going to talk about one of the juicier things that happened this week. Um, it's something that I'm shocked by, but I shouldn't be. I guess the U.S. Appeals Court upholds law forcing sale of ban of TikTok. So basically, the court is saying if they don't sell TikTok to an American company, then it's going to be banned in the United States. This is really kind of the first case of censorship that we're seeing on a mass scale. I'm not saying that our First Amendment rights are going to be in question or in doubt because of this, but it's going to set a precedent that's going to be really. I don't want to say the word interesting because I'm not interested in seeing it go further, but it'll be different. So if this happens, if they don't sell it and TikTok is banned, there's going to be a lot of communities that aren't going to be able to easily access each other immediately. I'm hoping that there's a backup app that is in the works, probably by the people who designed TikTok. I'm sure that the individuals who curated TikTok are working on bypassing this. So it'll be interesting to see in the new year, when we come back, what is the result of that. So I'll put a pin in that. I'm not super excited. I mean, people have questions about safety and the mining of information from TikTok. And my question has always been, as many of you have also been touting, what are we doing with our internet that would allow that to not be safeguarded on a mass scale? Why would TikTok be the blame and the scapegoat for that? Why aren't you doing anything to curb that throughout all of the internet, if that's your major concern? I think that they're placing blame on what is a Chinese company instead of working on fixing the issue as they see it. I'll leave it there. I saw an article that says 'tis the season to search for trolls. So I don't want to troll the U.S. government any further. I'm going to move on. Oh gosh, yeah, there's something that's going on with Biden. He's considering preemptively pardoning Trump's critics, which I think is a great idea. This is a tactic that presidents are allowed to use. They can use pardons to their discretion, and I think that he should do that. I think SNL, I think other critics should be pardoned. I mean, look, these people are going to come out guns a-blazing. Literally, they love the Second Amendment rights more than they love the First. So I think that you should do everything you can in your power. And people that are questioning or upset about him pardoning his son, I don't really understand why that's even a question. I mean, he's a father first and foremost, and he should be concerned about that. Are you not? I don't know. If I was a parent and if someone was coming for my child, I would be doing everything in my power to protect them. And I'll just say that. Here's something that made me say a damn truly. Bitcoin, their price reaches $100,000 as a mark for the first time ever. I don't really care about any of these cryptocurrencies. I don't really see how it's something that, I don't know if it's like the Great Depression reincarnated within me that is saying like, I don't trust that. Like I'm not putting all my money in a bank, and I'm not putting all my money in a non-bank, especially. Like, what are you going to go play with Monopoly money? What are you talking about? I've never understood it, and I need it to be explained to me like I'm 5 years old, and then I need to see the results and a histrionic of this being a cash that we can rely on. And that is why I did not invest in the Hawk 2 Girls crypto thing, which is hilarious to me that she is literally trying to get her coin by starting a coin. It's interesting to watch these people rise through the internet and have other ventures. It's like the Real Housewives when they start, their own little like bath bomb or like hair care line or whatever they're doing. Um, and this girl, it's like another version of that. It's like she didn't even have to do a reality show in order to start a product. And the product was a bust. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits coming her way, I'm pretty sure, in her team's way for this, because it's considered a fast cash grab from Hawk to a girl. Does she have a name? I don't want to keep calling her that. It's just a gross. It makes me feel icky. I want a name. Like, is your name like? She looks like she could be like a Shelly, or Shirley, or maybe Samantha. And that's not a reference to Sex in the City, which, if you've been listening since the beginning of the season and there's only 2 episodes left this season, you'll note that I did watch that for the first time this year. Okay. Okay. And okay. Let's talk about something that's going to tie into the second half of this episode. And it has to do with McDonald's. McDonald's is having quite the week. We'll get all into it after the break, but I really want to talk about the fact that they're bringing back the snack wrap in 2025, to which I'm allergic, but still allergically say 2 thumbs up. And it's, speaking of allergies, box lunch can just go off of a hill and crash. Did you see that girl passed away at a box lunch event? She was a Disney creator that had allergies. She expressed them to box lunch at this influencer's event and died as a result. There's going to be major lawsuits coming after box lunch. And obviously, I think that is a tragedy, and she shall be missed. Now, what I didn't miss and wasn't interested in necessarily, but still will probably be watching, unfortunately, is the Harry Potter series that's coming out. And before the break, I just want to give a little push for me to play Peeves, which is a poltergeist in the scenario of Hogwarts. Now, Peeves was deleted from any adaptation of the movies itself, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, he definitely wasn't in anything past the second one. I don't think he was in the first one. I don't think he ever made an appearance, but he's a little shit, and I'd like to play him. So this is my audition to play Peeves, a poltergeist. Let me hold it 1 second. Let me do a little vocal warm up. No one mourns the wicked. Okay, good. We're ready. Okay, so Peeves is described as someone that looked like a little man dressed in loud, outlandish clothes, including a bell-covered hat and an orange bow tie. Well, those are going to be noisy and they're going to interfere with the vibe, so I'm not going to be wearing those. My dear Friar, haven't we given Peeves all the chances he deserves? That's not him speaking. I read the wrong line. Okay, great. Well, this is off to a start. Take 2. Peeves, Percy whispered to Peeves, Percy whispered to the first years. A poltergeist. Peeves, show yourself. A loud, rude sound like the air being let out of a balloon answered. Do you want me to go to the Bloody Baron? Why am I reading this? This is the wrong... Take 3. I'm going to cut a lot of this from the podcast, so if you're watching this live on my YouTube, you're really getting quite a show, and by show, I mean a shit show. Wandering around at midnight, eco-firsties, tut-tut-tut. Naughty, naughty, you'll get caughty. Now, should I tell Finch? I should. It's for your own good, you know. Students out of bed, down the charms corridor. I don't know, I just like Peeves. I think he's a huge distraction and he's really wild. And I would like to play him. This is my favorite little snippet from the Harry Potter books. Which way did they go, Peeves? Filch was saying. Quick, tell me. Say please. Don't mess about, Peeves. Now where did they go? Shan't say nothing if you don't say please, said Peeves in his annoying sing-song voice. Oh, sing-song, let's try that again. Shan't say nothing if you don't say please. All right, please. Nothing. I told you I would say nothing if you didn't say please. So, gotcha. I don't know. I like Peeves. He's demonic in a sense because so poltergeist means somebody that was never born and isn't actually a ghost, and I think that's really interesting. Speaking of Brits playing, not that I'm British, but speaking of Brits coming into play major roles away from Harry Potter, which more than 30,000 children have auditioned for the role, allegedly, of the main three characters. I'm like, isn't that every child in all of Great Britain? Was it like required? Did they make everyone do that? But the kid who played Matilda in Matilda the Musical, which was a really fun adaptation of the musical itself, she's rumored to be Dorothy in Wicked 2. And she's been in all the press events. She's been on the carpet. Her name is Alicia Ware. You may know her from is it called Annabelle? The movie where it was like that demonic ballerina, that dancer that, as if you didn't know what a ballerina was. Ballerinas dance. Common sense 101. But she's had a very interesting resume. So if she plays Dorothy, I'd be interested to see if she sings. I mean, clearly she can. So that would be really interesting. Speaking of Dorothy, and this is the last thing we'll talk about before we go to the break, and then we're going to talk about the thing that you guys all voted for the most a damn worthy thing of the week. And boy is it a topic. But first I'd like to just discuss, in the Wizard of Oz of all the things that are ongoing, just this week, the ruby slippers were auctioned off, and they were appraised at an estimation of between $3 and $4.5 million. Well, boy oh boy, and girl oh girl, and they oh they, did they sell for a lot more than that. They sold for an astounding, hold please, let me find my source, don't want to give you false information. Not that this is a news site, this is totally, this is for entertainment. $32.5 million. It is the most valuable movie memorabilia ever sold at auction. And I'd like to say very bluntly, who paid for that? And are you single? They also sold at this auction a couple of other items from The Wizard of Oz, including the witch's hat. Now, when we're talking about these shoes, there's 4 pairs of shoes that exist. One of the pairs exists in a museum, which is good. It's in an LA museum, and it was bought at auction for $2 million by Leonardo DiCaprio and Steven Spielberg to put into the museum. And that is great. We need to keep some of the film things preserved if we're going to have a society of film here in LA. I think it's important to, keep the histrionics of certain things here, but these slippers were the ones that she actually clicked her heels to go home in. So I guess that, that's why they sold for more than any other movie price has ever sold before, including this weekend. They sold some of the pieces from Home Alone. They sold a scarf, knit cap, coat, and mittens. All of that sold for about $32,000. Would you be embarrassed if yours sold for so much less than, it's like, oh, we sold for like a tenth. Not even a tenth, way less. 32,000 after 32.5 million. I don't know. You do the math. 100th, 1,000th. Tom Hanks's co-star, which I'm assuming would mean the freaking coconut from Castaway, sold for $162,000. They sold rare surviving golden tickets. Rare surviving golden tickets, like golden tickets of golden tickets, survival wise, amazing. From Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that's the 1971 version, the good version. They sold for an astounding $118,000. And this was all done by Heritage Auctions, which is, it rivals like Christie's auction house in New York. There's a couple of locations for this place, of course, but the guy who started it, I just want to talk about his history very quickly. Like, I love the Ruby Slippers thing, and I love that element, but I really want to talk about Steve Ivy, this guy who started this. He was he's titled as the century's foremost numismatist, which means study or collector of coins, paper currency, and metals. This guy started at the age of, some say 13, some sources say 14, selling coins, finding rare coins and selling them. So he's a little entrepreneur, right out of the gate. And by the time he was 20, he had already started an auction house. And now it's like one of the most formative, high highest grossing. They have $2 billion worth of sales that have been acquired in 11 cities worldwide since the 70s. Steve Ivey is the CEO and co-chairman of this, and I don't know how he leans politically or anything about him other than I think this is a very impressive enterprise that he started. And the auctioning works in this way. It's not like they get most of the proceeds. They're like a manager in the sense that they only get up to 10%, or they do get 10% of any earnings that are made, which I find to be really interesting. I'm sure they tack on fees to make extra money, but it's very it's a very interesting enterprise. There was the lawyer that I worked for in New York, which is actually how I got any of my savings. And I took a moment to say savings because where is it gone? Where did it go? Oh, to the nose. Yeah, I don't really have any savings left this year. Really drained me. But the savings that I did acquire at one point came from a lawyer that thought that he could sell some of his items to Christie's in New York, and we did actually auction some of it off at it, and he made a very small amount in selling a large, vast amount of his estate. Back in what was that? 2014, 2013. Yeah, he was a villain. He was a true villain, and it wasn't rewarding in a sense to watch him not get the money that he deserved, but it does give me pause. He had an item from the Flintstones, which was really interesting that he would have that. He had one of the business outfits that John Goodman wore in the Flintstones film. Did you ever see that? It was a lot of fun. Rosie O'Donnell, it's one of her better films, but he had the business outfit that was like zebra, and then the bow tie as well, which was really interesting to see him try and sell that. He bought it for, I think it was like $7,000, and it sold for like $2,000. When you buy items at an auction, they're not always going to appreciate in value. It's almost like, you're getting something that you don't know which way people are going to be interested in years from now. Like if you buy art, if you buy anything in an auction house, you just don't know. Okay, we're going to be back after the break with something really exciting. We're going to talk about the thing that you guys voted as the most a damn worthy thing of the week. And then also, we're going to have a second reading from my book. This is the second of 4 readings that we will do in totality. And I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because I do want to sell the book, but it's a little teaser just to get into the holiday spirit and to give you some laughs because the book does start on Christmas Day. So, yes, we'll be right back after the break. We're going to have some words from my parents. Yay!